The Seed of Rejection, Chapter 15. A full month had passed since the solemn burial of Pastor Cyprus. The crowds had long dispersed, the hymns had faded, and the soil over his grave had settled into silence. Yet behind that silence, something dark was quietly unfolding. One hot afternoon, his widow Fidelia and her calculating mother, Madame Rose, drove to the office of Mr. John, the late pastor's lawyer. Their visit was not one of grief or remembrance. It was a business transaction. Inside the quiet office, Madame Rose placed a proposal on the table with the confidence of someone who had already calculated the outcome. 30 million naira, she said calmly, and a magnificent two-story building in Enugu. The lawyer's eyes widened. The condition was simple. He must surrender all legal documents belonging to Pastor Cyprus and help them rewrite the story of the dead man's estate. Greed quickly overpowered his conscience. Within weeks, Mr. John relocated with his entire family to Enugu, abandoning his former life. Before leaving, he handed over every document concerning the late pastor's properties to Fidelia, as if that betrayal were not enough. He also forged a power of attorney, falsely declaring that Pastor Cyprus had willingly transferred all his possessions to his beloved wife before his death. The forged document shocked everyone, especially Peter, who knew beyond doubt that he had been officially registered as his brother's next of kin. But money had a way of silencing truth. Another loose end remained Mr. Daniel, her former secret lover. He had secretly obtained Fidelia's nude photographs and had been mercilessly blackmailing her. The scandal could destroy everything she had planned. However, Fidelia knew how to settle problems. She offered him 20 million naira and a luxurious duplex. The blackmail stopped immediately. Mr. Daniel vanished into comfortable silence, his conscience purchased like a cheap commodity. Within a year, Fidelia moved swiftly. One after another, Pastor Cyprus's properties were sold. His lands, his investments, even the church he had built with faith and sacrifice. Everything disappeared into the hands of buyers. By the time the dust settled, Fidelia had become incredibly wealthy, a billionaire overnight. She and her mother quietly relocated to a mysterious foreign country where no one could easily trace them. But one property refused to slip away: the house they were living in. Just before Fidelia could finalize its sale, Peter reported the matter to the police, exposing the suspicious transfer of properties. Authorities intervened, halting the transaction. Fidelia had also planned to sell the house belonging to the detective in Asaba, but fate intervened again. Instead, the detective purchased the house himself, ensuring it would not fall into her greedy hands. Life slowly moved on. The detective continued to care deeply for the twins of Pastor Cyprus, John and Jonathan. He visited them often, guiding them like a guardian. In time, the young boys left Nigeria for the United States to pursue their education. John studied medicine, determined to save lives. Jonathan studied law, determined to defend justice. 10 years later, 10 long years rolled by like pages in a forgotten diary. The twins were no longer boys. Both had obtained their master's degrees and had begun building promising careers in the United States. One peaceful evening, the detective sat with his wife and his now grown children in their living room, when suddenly, knock, knock. He opened the door. Standing before him were two tall young men with confident smiles and familiar faces. It was John and Jonathan. The detective's face lit up with overwhelming joy. He embraced them warmly like a proud father who had waited years for such a moment. They had returned to Nigeria with a purpose. "I want to see our father's village," John said quietly. "And our grandmother," Jonathan added. The detective agreed immediately. The following morning, they drove across dusty rural roads until they arrived at the quiet village where Pastor Cyprus had once dreamed of greatness. Time had not been kind to the place. Their family house looked tired and worn. The paint had faded, the roof sagged slightly, and tall grasses had swallowed the empty land where Pastor Cyprus had once planned to build his magnificent mansion. Peter had since married, and his wife lived in the village caring for their aging mother. Meanwhile, Favor had also married and was living happily with her husband in Abuja. When the frail grandmother stepped outside and saw the twins standing before her, her old eyes widened. For a moment she simply stared. The twins folded their hands and watched if Grandma would recognize them, but they never expected what was coming. Grandma broke down and started crying. She ran to his son's grave and began hitting it with all her strength. They are here. They are here to see you. Cypress, come and welcome your twins. They are all grown up. They are here to see their father. The twins helped her stand on her feet. They embraced her as she held them tight. We are here to see you, Grandma, they said.
Do you want to know the outcome of the twins' visit? Do you want to know how Fidelia ended up? Do not miss the end of the story in part 16.